Cut.
Look, it was almost on the nuts.
6. Right on your nuts.
Like gnat's, what is it?
Gnat's ass.
Gnat's ass.
This is Libby Road and the Sound Epistemology podcast. On this episode of the podcast, Rupert and I continue with the Street Epistemology survey, which is designed to review our relationship with truth. Number 16 is pretty sweet because we discuss the partnership a productive SE conversation has with respect, active listening, compassion, and other byproducts street epistemology can provide. You may notice how the benefits of learning the approach can be seen during this conversation, even though it isn't an example of a formal SE interview. Make sure to check the links in the description for some examples of those interviews and for access to the survey itself. Let's drive on to number 16.
I give all claims the benefit of the doubt when I first encounter them.
Strongly agree. Well, now I wouldn't have thought you'd say that because it seems you're quite skeptical about most things.
That's part of being a skeptic, is
Giving
giving
all
the
claims.
benefit of the doubt and not a skeptical person gives the benefit of the doubt, I think, more than does not give the benefit of the doubt. If somebody was not a skeptic, they would not give the benefit of the doubt because they've already made up their mind and they're not open to investigating it.
So giving the benefit of the doubt is vastly different than having any confidence in it for you.
Well, giving something the benefit of the doubt does not mean that I'm confident in it.
Right. Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving the benefit of the doubt is allowing that to possibly be the case. Like, I think that is being skeptical. It's being skeptical about your own conclusions about this to the point where you're not able to give it the benefit of the doubt. So.
Yeah, and I agree, but I don't strongly agree. Not even firmly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree because I think I think it's a better place to be. It's served me better when I give the benefit of the doubt than it has when I do not. But I think there are some cases where it has served me well. So I agree, but I don't strongly agree.
There are some examples of when you've not given something the benefit of the doubt and that has served you better.
Yeah, now there's an equal amount that have, backfired on me, and that's why now I have moved myself to give more benefits of the doubt than I think I used to.
This to me brings me towards the when having an SE conversation, modeling the behavior that you want them to give to you.
Yeah.
Because if I was trying to convince somebody that what I believed was true, I would want them to give me the benefit of the doubt that my reasons are sufficient without being closed off to not even consider what I'm saying. So I try to do that with someone else. I want to give, even if I have very, 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 very little confidence in what they're saying, I still want to give them the benefit of the doubt because I'm a skeptic.
Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 100, how high on that scale would the number be that represents how much your motivation for giving the benefit of the doubt is in order to receive the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. It'd be up in the 90s for sure.
Up in the 90s, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But you qualified later in your statement there that you'd give it anyway. You'd want to give the benefit of the doubt anyway to appear open or be open. I'm forgetting what you said exactly. But
Well, because I feel like the feeling of believing something that is true is the same feeling as believing something false. So I need to be open to be believing things that are false.
yeah, to maybe that your true things are false
Right.
and their false things are true.
Right. Giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm. So there's an equal number, if not higher, that this is out of respect. Well, out of curiosity, I suppose, for finding what's true.
It's out of respect for wanting to believe true things. Yeah. It's out of respect for skepticism. And as a byproduct, it's respecting the person too. Because
It's interesting that that's a byproduct, but yeah.
yeah. I think it is.
Yeah, for me that would be the primary, I think,
Mhm.
would be, okay, then, so that I can show you that I have a genuine respect for this conversation.
Yeah.
I'd put
Yeah.
that ahead of wanting it to be received necessarily.
Yeah, that's interesting. Having a respect for skepticism allows me to respect the person in this way.
It allows you
creates
to
this-
respect the person who is wrong.
Yeah, it creates that. It creates the space that that allows me to respect them, because since I respect skepticism and wanting my beliefs to match with reality as much as possible, having that be my motivation creates this space of respect towards the other person in this way.
Yeah, even for people that seemingly don't deserve that respect.
Yeah, more
Possibly.
and more. It seems like more and more. With the more people we talk about
Yeah.
with other people, with discussions online,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like I'm able to give more people the benefit of the doubt more now. Like it seems like I'm getting better at that.
Yeah.
Like I hear some things that are absolutely nuts. And it's like, I don't know how you can believe that. However, I'm interested in believing true things. Therefore, I need to give them the benefit of the doubt, because I can probably think of, don't ask me to, but I can probably think of some crazy stuff that I didn't think was true, and then I found out later that, actually, yeah, I'm glad I gave them the benefit of the doubt,
Mm-hmm.
because they were able to explain it better, and now I've come to realize that what I thought was a crazy belief maybe isn't so crazy.
I like that you're saying it creates in you a capacity that might not be there otherwise. Having the respect for skepticism creates a capacity in you to give someone a benefit of the doubt, where without that it might be harder to sit through some of these conversations, because I struggle with that myself, and so it might be a nice tool for me to lean into, to have respect for the process of skepticism before just going, I don't want to hear another word out of this person's mouth.
And I think there's a big difference between respecting the person and respecting the belief that they have. I don't think that you need to respect somebody's belief, but I think you have a better conversation if you respect the person, and you don't have to respect the belief.
Yeah.
But and it kind of sounds harsh and a little bit counterintuitive to say something like, I don't respect your belief, but I can respect you without respecting a belief that you hold.
And you think that sounds harsh?
I think it sounds harsh on the surface to say, I don't respect your belief.
Oh, I see.
Some people translate that as,
What's a
well,
negative
they don't
statement?
respect me. And that
Yeah.
there's a difference. I'm trying to point out that there's a difference between respecting the person and respecting the beliefs. In the sound epistemology group, that's one of the rules that you have to follow to be in that group. You don't have to respect the belief, but you need to respect the person that's sharing it.
Does that always happen in the sound epistemology group? People respect each other,
It seems to, yeah.
and they're conducting themselves in a respectful way.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah, I wondered that about the some of these YouTube videos that we've been seeing from different practitioners that say, please keep your your comments respectful.
Yeah.
Are people following that, have you found?
Seem to be, yeah.
So street epistemology and the content that's being put up seems to attract healthy comments, healthy discussion, healthy engagement.
More so than not, I'm finding. Now, we could probably go on YouTube right now and find examples of people that are not respecting the person in the comments or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this seems to be demonstrated also by the discussions that we have on Clubhouse. Is, we've both been in rooms that I would call a dumpster fire, and I seem to land in situations where people are being thoughtful, being respectful, listening to each other. So yeah, I'm. It doesn't seem like it would always be that way with having conversations like this, but I'm pleasantly surprised,
Mm-hmm.
maybe by the degree of respect that the people in this community are really trying to have.
I'm really glad to hear that that's the case, because that's certainly something that's been in short supply, is compassionate conversations, respectful behavior, and so anything that's bringing that out in people, I think, needs to be leaned towards or ran towards. So it's really encouraging to hear that that's the case, and I think it's down to the active listening component, the compassionate component. Now, unfortunately, I think it also, there's a subservient component to it that I think some people would, just eat it up. But even with that, even with the ego stroking that might happen as a side effect of these conversations and the way that they're conducted, if they're conducted properly, where the interviewer simply does not get defensive and does not shut the person down, or if they do so in a way that is so respectful that there's no defensiveness happening, that there's still, it's different than someone having a conversation like that, dumping all over someone, sucking the energy right out of them and leaving. There's still, at least with this, that accountability of they're at least given an opportunity to hear what's coming out of their mouth, instead of just spewing it out and leaving before it gets reflected back to them. And I think that's a really good thing. I think that takes a pretty strong practitioner of SE to be able to maintain neutrality, maintain compassion, positivity, and just revert back to the notes. And what I'm hearing you say is, and that's why I really think this is a good tool, and I'm really glad to spend my time promoting it and helping encourage it, because I think if that's a skill that more and more people can see modeled, see examples of, and maybe practice themselves, that's a direction that's going to be really helpful for us to move forward and have a less divisive experience than we've been having these last 4 years.
Well, you've watched some of these videos. What's your experience as far as that goes? Do you get the same sense that I am about the community and being respectful, generally speaking, or have you, or are you getting experiences of the opposite of that?
Not the opposite of that, but I'd like to see it going. I'd like to see what this would look like after 5 years of practice from each practitioner. What's been interesting is the one lad that has examples of him really doing it poorly. To start off with, and being really combative and seeing that growth. And I think I'd love to see what the growth from here looks like. So I've seen more examples of healthy, respectful examples of these conversations than not. But it really does make me excited to see, well, what are the gurus of this going to look like once they've got it down to not just haphazardly, but actually navigating with really competent questions coming up.
Like sharpening the tools.
Sharpening the tools.
The potential of, after practicing, what's the potential of, like, an expert of this 5 years down the road? How is that different than what's happening now, kind of?
Yeah, I think active listening and anything that's close to it is just such a helpful and needed thing right now. And SE takes it further than just active listening. It really invites, it's a collaboration.
Yeah, it requires active listening,
right,
in order to be effective at this. It forces you to listen. And even when I'm not using SE, I'm getting into the habit of, if somebody's talking, I'm getting into the habit of, I need to be able to repeat this back to them in my own words. And so it's kind of a training. And if I feel like I'm going to have to repeat what they're saying in my own words, I need to listen. I need to listen very attentively, very compassionately. And it's changed the way I listen to people. And I think in a positive way, because my brain is starting to make those new pathways of, I'm going to have to repeat this, so this is a good time to listen to what they're saying. And there's such a wealth of information and understanding that comes from feeling like you're having to do that, and not just in a SE situation. Just if somebody's telling me a story about what happened to them at work, and I'm in the habit of, I need to listen very attentively because I'm going to have to repeat what they're saying back to them in my own words, so that I can make sure that I understand it and make sure that they are comfortable with me hearing them. It demonstrates, if I tell you a story and after I'm done, you kind of give me a good summary, then I feel like I've been heard. And that makes a huge difference, especially when you talk about things that you may not disagree about.
I think it's a really admirable quality to be practicing, and I admire you for it. I wonder, have you explored the space of taking it a step further and being as attentive when you're talking to people now, realizing that if they are hearing me, there's a being more conservative with the amount of words that come out of me and getting to the point quicker is a great way to increase the way you talk.
Yes. Yeah. I would love to be able to put my thoughts together more efficiently. Yeah.
Do you practice that?
I like that because you're having me use that exercise on myself so that I can better understand what I'm saying, first of all, but be better understood by others.
Yeah, and easier to receive.
I think, recording these kinds of conversations and going and watching them later can be very effective in teaching me how to better do that. It's like we've talked about, it's like watching tape of your football team. I have a better objective view about what's happening without me being in the moment. I can have a better vantage point of, you tend to stutter here, or, I can see myself doing those things that I want to eliminate, and it helps me understand it better and helps me look for cues that can help me improve.
Yeah, watching a golf swing, watching the way you do an ollie on a skateboard.
Right, swimming. Yeah,
in conversation.
Really examining, putting it on a microscope, and really getting a good view about what's actually happening.
Yeah, that's where I think these review videos are helpful to dissect conversations that are happening and what could have been done better, what worked well. Unfortunately, we do things in real time, and so it takes a lot of that, or it takes a lot of being present with that and taking it on board than just going through the motions.
Right.
And that's where I think things like active listening exercises are good. I do one a lot of times where we set a 4-minute timer. I'm just going to listen. You'll talk. I'll repeat back at the end of the timer. And we don't discuss it. We just, did I get it? Any clarification? Then switch roles. And that's the thing that I've found interesting, is when I'm in the role of, it's interesting to be in the role of the listener. It's extremely difficult to be in the role of the listener. It's difficult to listen. It's difficult because, for many reasons, not the least of which being, people prattle on. People don't get to the point. So it can be hard to keep track of all the different branches they go in. But then realizing that and seeing it more and more and more, and really, really making the effort to practice repeating back what people are saying and actually listening instead of thinking what I'm going to say. Then when it's my turn to talk in those exercises, there's a microscope on myself in the moment of not only being aware of what I'm doing with my hands, what's happening with my breathing, when I can remember that, when I remember to focus on that, but to be focused on what each word is that's coming out. And it's really nice to achieve. It's nice to be flexing in and out of it more in than out now. And it seems to be improving the quality of conversations and connections, that's for sure. And that's what I think this leads to. That's why I like it so much.
That's great.
Even that, I said a fucking mouthful there without really stopping.
Yeah, and I think that demonstrates that our goals aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. Like we can have the goal of believing more true and less false things and having reliable ways to determine the difference and have better conversations. I think those can go hand in hand. If you have one, that doesn't mean that the other one isn't happening, and vice versa. So.
Yeah, there's a great trickle-down effect from these conversations. Even just watching these conversations, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
There's an improvement and a growth happening, and that's worthwhile.
Yeah.